YouTube, what's good? What's good? It's the BBK, and we are back in the boss's house. Shout out to all my bosses. Shout out to my supporters and subscribers. Listen, I just came back real quick because when I went over on an adventure on Twitter, I saw them reporting on the number of deaths in the African American community by the gangs in blue from March to December. Karon Hilton was another young man in October who was killed. Now, I'm still looking up the information, the report on his death. The word on the street is that he was killed by the gang in blue, by them good old boys. Another report is that he was hit on his moped by an officer in a vehicle. And when the officer hit him, it propelled him out into the street where he was then run over by a car in traffic. One of the nights that they were protesting, Karon's mom was there with her bullhorn and her people, and they were protesting, and they actually locked his mom up. They detained her and they let her go. The officer that struck Devon with his vehicle, the name was Officer Sutton. It is reported that he has a history of this. Now, this happened down in good old D.C., down in the DMV type of neck of the woods, and they report all the time that brutality amongst the gang in blue runs rampant on a regular basis. They said it's just how it is. But when you go back and you look at the statistics of the African Americans killed by the good old boys in blue, it is very overwhelming because they are the biggest gangs that we have in the world. I mean, the people are screaming, defund the police, for God's sake. Defund the police? You want to do away with the police because they're not doing what we expect them to do. They're not acting how we expect them to act. And the more death that I see at the hands of the police, I can kind of understand why they're calling for them to defund the police. Now, I really don't think it's a good idea. If you defund the police, that essentially wipes out the police, us having any police. And I think the world would go from sugar to shit in a heartbeat and a click. We have to have some type of order over here. We have to have somebody that enforces order. But all we're asking as a whole, as a community, is we're asking for the people to hold the police accountable for what they do. See, we can barely get them to hold the police accountable when they're off the clock for what they do. And let me just tell you that the statistics on the number of boys in blue who get in trouble when they're off the clock is overwhelmingly high as well. See, that just goes to confirm that not only do they believe that they're bigger and better than everybody, that they have some type of exemption from doing the right thing, is because not only do they do the wrong thing when they're on the clock, they do the wrong thing when they off the clock, and they try to act like because they the police, that means something. It don't mean shit. Good morning, Nene. Aw, thank you, Mama. You have a blessed day, too. Girl, I can't get out the bed. Last night I was so fucked up. I was in the bed asleep by 10 o'clock. And then I jumped up at 7 o'clock and said, no bueno, I don't want to be up at 7 o'clock. But when I went to my messages and stuff, it was sending me to all of the craziness that was going on with these parents who are, mourning the death of their kids killed by these gang members. And it's crazy to me. I don't understand. I really don't. I don't want them to defund the police. I just want them to hold the police accountable for what they do. When you kill somebody and you wrong, you go to jail. It's real simple. As far as what I want and what I expect. And they had sent me Karon Hilton, who was a young man in D.C. who was killed. And they're protesting, and they even locked his mom up at the protest, and had the people, going off. Sounds like you had a good night. Like, I did, girl. Because yesterday was kind of rough, too, at work. Yeah, it was kind of rough. Yesterday was kind of rough at work. So, yes, honey, I got off from work. I went outside, child. Went down the street. And roll me a fatty, honey, and let it rip, let it blaze up. But I see more and more people jumping on this bandwagon talking about defund the police, and I don't agree with it. Listen, if we don't have no police around to keep order, it's gonna be a problem. This is Karon Hilton. He was killed in October in Washington, D.C. Now, this is an old picture because the more current Karon, I think, had dreads or locks or something. But he was running. He was riding his moped. Now, here's where it gets tricky. I saw a few of the little video clips. And on one of the video clips, the police was riding with his lights on. And the only camera we could see was the camera on the body cam. Now listen, they were in the car. The police officers was inside the car driving. And you could see their lights reflecting off the buildings as they drove. But what's funny is that when homeboy zipped past them on the moped, they cut their lights and sirens off. See, it was no sound. There was no audio on this video. It was no audio on the body cam while the body cam was in the car riding while they was chasing this dude down. None. You could see the officer pointing, and so he was talking, but there was no audio. You could not hear no sirens. You couldn't hear nothing. Once they hit this young man with their car, knocked him out in the street, and he got hit by somebody else, and they were getting out of the car, they cut the audio on. Now, the camera was also, the body cam on his chest, it was also the way he was sitting in the car, you couldn't see over the dashboard. It was like the camera was showing from the eyes of a little kid in the front seat. You could only see the top of the windshield and the top of the buildings as they drove by. And when he rolled by on the moped, you could see the top of his head and shoulders. As they got out of the car, they cut the audio on. And so the protesters were saying the videos that they're showing to the world have been chopped and screwed. And the audio has been cut off. Now, see, that's when the Justice Department should jump in. At the first accusation of foul play, the feds should come in and investigate. Because the whole purpose of them having to wear body cams was not only to protect them from false accusations, but to protect us from being ganged on by them boys. And I was like, Karon, Devon, Siobhan, Milan, all of the people. And I don't want to say kids, because it's not just kids being killed. It's grown folks too. And it's bad enough that we got the pandemic taking us out. We got the gang members taking us out. The good old boys taking us out. And now they finna make us take a goddamn shot, and it's killing us too, fucking us up, maiming us and defaming us and defacing us and all of the things. I need to get up and smoke. It's too much. It is too much. And again, the officer that is alleged of killing this young man is Officer Sutton. And they say Officer Sutton got a reputation. He got a bad reputation of this type of thing. But ain't nobody doing nothing. Ain't nobody saying nothing. Ain't nobody putting the cuffs on him. Clink, clink. Well, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get off. And I'm going to get up and go get my breakfast. Get me a handful of Fruit Loops and go out there and smoke. But let me say this. They got some good sales. They got some good sales out here, y'all, for Christmas. Now, you know, I had already done all my little Christmas shopping and all of my stuff. I already done it. I already done it now, but it's just some sales out here I'm finding very difficult to pass up. So I think I'm finna get up, have my breakfast, throw on me some clothes, and go shopping. Yeah. I'm gonna go shopping real quick. Oh yeah, by the way, I did see over on those Twitter streets that Donald is over there talking about martial law. He talking about martial law before the inauguration. Now I'm guessing if I was to try to think on a strategic level, I would think the reason you would lock the country down during the holidays is to put a bigger burden on Joe. Joe having to overcome traps that Donald set for him. Now, if you lock the country down during the holidays, that's going to further hurt the economy, because that means businesses won't get revenue, they won't sell product. That means that there will be a bigger increase in the request for help, bailouts for small businesses, big businesses, corporations, individuals. Everybody gonna be hollering that they need money. And then you got the inauguration coming in January, the third week of January. Well, if the country's on lockdown, that means nobody can come to the inauguration, right? That means for the first time in our presidential history, you guys will have to do an inauguration via Zoom. Well, that's not how that works. See, Joe has to be sworn in. Joe got to be sworn in like they swear you in when you go to court. He got to put his hand on, raise his right hand, put his left hand on the Bible, and swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help him God. Yeah. I tell you, child, this place is crazy as hell. Stop the killing. Now, I ain't gonna say defund the police, but I am going to say that every time they fire their weapon, we using all this technology for war and to fight people and to instigate and set up fights, be bogus. If we're going to use all this good technology, then let's use it. Every time a police officer has to fire his weapon, he should receive a shot from the trigger of that gun. And in that shot that draws blood, it should take blood. And they should be able to find out everything they need to find out about that officer when he fired his gun. Was he under the influence of drugs? What was his blood pressure like? Was the adrenaline pumping fast through his veins? Was he scared? And it should definitely that blood, that needle prick that he get when he pull the trigger, every time he pull it, he should get pricked. It'll tell us exactly how many times he actually discharged his gun. Because, see, that's another argument that I find coming up when the good old boys kill somebody, is how many times they shot, and shots came from somewhere else that they can't identify. See, I'm going to tell you something. That little boy in Florida, and I apologize for calling him a little boy, but hell, he is a little boy when he stands at my age. The little boy that was murdered in Florida, the one that brought about all of this drama on YouTube about who he was related to and who he wasn't related to. It was reported that those officers fired 20 or more shots into that car, onto that little boy. It was also reported that he fired a single shot and committed suicide, and that it was not a homicide. Let me ask you this. Did anybody ever find out or read a report or hear a report or see a report that stated exactly how many bullets hit him and which bullet actually killed him? Was it his bullet that killed him, or was it a bullet from the many shots fired by the good old boys? See, do we know? We probably don't. Why? Because that's the type of information that ends up getting sealed when they get ready to go to court. They won't tell you who fired the deadly bullet. And those are the things that we need to keep these men accountable for, men and women. Them good old boys shouldn't be allowed to do things like that. And they should get a prick that draws blood every time they fire a shot. Now, I would say just take the damn guns from them. Let them run around out there and secure the world without a gun. Give them a baton and a taser, and let them go out there and police. See, when you take a little bit of their power away from them, it'll humble them a little bit. It'll humble them a little bit. They won't be so quick to swing out and strike at somebody for fear of what that person may have in their pocket, in their purse. They only bad and tough like that because they got a gun and you don't. If you take their guns away from them, they wouldn't dare run up on you talking the majority of the shit they talk. Because there's been too many people that they were not able to take down. I watched a woman the other day who was intoxicated. They threw her out the club, then they called the police. That lady was not 6'3", 400 and something pounds. She was not. What they tell me, though, is that the lady was more like 5'9" and 200 and something pounds. Baby, when I tell you they couldn't do nothing with her, baby, she tussled with their ass. She slung them around like rag dolls. They hit her with the taser. Her adrenaline bounced it off. She rocked their ass. Now, the video cut off before the end. I'm guessing they killed her. I'm going to keep my eyes open on it. So anyway, defund the police? Nah. Disarm the police? Absolutely. I'm all for disarming them, not defunding them. Everybody needs a job, and everyone needs police presence in their city, in their town. So I'm not for defunding them, but I'm all for disarming them. Thank you so much for coming over. Please like the video on your way out. Thank you, and happy Sunday. Love you, Nene.